Hi guys, welcome back to our channel where we move and improve. My name is Serphine Olal. If you're new here, thank you very much for clicking into this video. So on today's topic, we'll be talking about I quit my job.
Now I will not fumble a bag. Fumble a bag. Now I will not fumble a bag. Act like you know how this goes.
Yeah, so I quit my job. So basically, I'll give you a little background story on how I got the job that I was doing and everything that led to me leaving the job. So I started working at I got a job in 2019 at a retail store, and I was working as a promoter. And so it was a 1-month contract based job. So after the 1 month, obviously the contract was expired and I had to leave. But I left a letter saying that in case they have any position open, they call me for the job. And so that was 2019, end of 2019, around October, November. So coming to 2020 now, that was the year of Corona, yeah. So Corona hit around March, and then March, April, May, June. So June, the retail store called me, asked me whether I was available. And by that time, all schools were closed and people were home. And actually people were losing their jobs because employers couldn't sustain maybe the budget. No work was being done, so people, there was no money to pay people, and so people were losing jobs. And I felt very privileged to get a job during that time. So I was called for the job. It was still the same as a promoter, it was still the same job description. So I went on to work as a promoter. This time the contract was for 3 months, and so we did a good job, and they added another 3 months. So before the next 3 months ended, they decided to promote us into a permanent position now with the company. So I was later on promoted to a cashier. So everyone knows the roles of a cashier in a retail store. So the cashiers are basically the people who help you at the checkout point, where you've already bought everything you buy. So you've already bought everything you wanted to buy, and you're leaving, and we were the ones who were there at the checkout counters helping you scan your goods and make payment and things like that. And so that position, I never really, the honest truth is that I never really wanted that position, because I knew the difficulties that came with it. Being that I was in the same department before being promoted, I used to see how people used to complain about the time and whatnot, and knowing who I am, I just felt like it would have been an issue eventually. But I didn't want to go back to sitting at home and not doing anything. So I just decided to take the job and see how it goes. So I told myself after I started the job, it was just everything I expected. Nothing was different, because I had already I went there knowing what it had to offer. So I told myself that I'll try be positive minded, not just expect the worst, and not expect that things won't work for me. So I went there with a good mentality, a positive mentality, and I was ready to work. So in everything that I do, I normally give everything my best, because that's how I've been taught my entire life. Whatever you do, just give it your all, do your best, and the rest will just come. So I did my effing best, my best at that job. It was a job that is not technical. It's just something that anyone can be trained and anyone can do. And so with things like that, it's hard to show your best qualities and things. So you just work with whatever you have. So if you just make sure you're the best, your customer service is top notch and things like that. And so I did my best to make sure that I wasn't in trouble. I was reporting to work on time, and I just tried avoiding all sorts of trouble. And that job was just a draining job, honestly, because first of all, you work while standing. You work for 8 hours a day, and you're standing the entire time. It's difficult. It took a toll on me. So that is the background what I was doing. That is the job that I was doing. So I told myself, I'll give, like, I'm giving myself 2 years. That's the maximum I can stay in this same position. In case maybe I get promoted to another position and there's a new challenge, then we'll know and like have a plan from there, going like from there onwards. But in this same position, I'm not doing it for more than 2 years. So I actually became a cashier in October of 2020. And I told myself, so now that meant by October of 2022, I'm not supposed to be in that position. It's either I'm in another position or I'm not doing that job anymore. So come 2022 last year, October, I was hoping I'd get another job before the 2 years elapsed, because I saw there's no progress in this job. Like, there's no progress. So I kept on applying for jobs, and nothing was coming through. And so by the time it was February of 2022, I was exhausted, like physically, mentally, and emotionally. A girl was exhausted. I was exhausted. I can't tell you how exhausted I was, because in February now I decided to take an unpaid leave, something that I've never even told my parents, because I knew obviously the talks that always come from parents is like, when you talk of quitting your job, they'll first of all ask, like, after quitting, now what next? Do you have another job? Like is there, like, what is your next plan? And I still didn't have like a plan. Like, what's my plan B? I didn't know what I was to do next. So that being said, I didn't tell them that I took the unpaid leave, and I didn't tell them that I was planning to leave the job. So me, I was so sure that this February, like, I was so sure I'm not going to that job. I'm not going back. But circumstances and life forced me to go back, because I didn't have a plan and I didn't know how I'd leave. But at that point, I wasn't leaving home. So you know that there are bills you need to pay, like there are just things in your life that you need to sort, and this job is helping you sort them. So it's hard to just leave, And so fast forward to like almost October. Now I'm almost clocking 2 years in this same position, and I was frustrated. I was very frustrated, honestly. And so come November, I said I'm quitting in November. I knew November was, Black Friday is always in November, and retail stores are always crazy in November, and I knew that, hey, I'd die. I was like, I can't go through another November in this job. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So I told myself my 2 years has elapsed, and it's November, like, I need to quit this job. I didn't have another job yet, but I knew that if I continue being there, that like something would just happen to me. Like, I'm a very emotional being, and I felt like if I continue being in that job, things would now become bad, because it had reached a point where I felt like I'm losing respect for that job. And it's not right to get to that point, because at the end of the day, this is someone's work. Like, this is someone's, like, you need to care about also the person who has employed you at the end of the day, because that is his job. And if you're not taking care of it, like if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then maybe someone somewhere is hurting. Like, someone somewhere is not, because like you need to do your job. If you're employed somewhere, like, do your duties how you're supposed to. And I felt like I was it reached a point where I felt like I was neglecting, like, not even neglect, I don't have the right words, but I didn't care about the job anymore. So I felt like any day I wake up, I feel like calling in sick, because I can't do it anymore. And so, and I remember, like, I've always been taught that if you don't wake up every morning going to your job and feeling like you're happy, feeling like I can't wait to go and finish the task that I was supposed to finish yesterday, feeling like I'm so enthusiastic about this day because I have a new challenge, there's something new that I'm going to do. That job didn't have that feeling at all. I used to wake up in the morning and feel like crying. I'm dreading this day. I feel like I've already cast my day, because I feel like it will just be horrible, it won't be a good day. And people always, like, human beings have a tendency of treating people with no care. Because I remember most of the time, so many people used to cry, like girls used to cry because people just talk anyhowly. Like, human beings demean some people in some positions because maybe they feel like they're not important. So they talk to you anyhow. They talk to you the way they feel like. And such things usually used to get to me, and I'm like, kwani this being feels like I'm stupid for being here, ama how does it feel? Because it gets to you, even if maybe people will say you're supposed to have a strong heart and things like that, but at the end of the day you'll just sit down and question yourself, and maybe question your life and ask yourself, have I done something to deserve this, you know? And things like that made me feel like it's about time, like this is the time. So on, like, I remember it was 6th November 2022, I woke up, went to work, and I told Bay that I'm going to quit. I'm going to write that letter today. And so I went to work, went to the HR, knocked, like I found him there and was like, can I talk to you? And I was like, what's up, Serphine? And I was like, I want to write my resignation letter. And I'm like, it was like, is anything the matter? Is anything wrong? I was like, no, nothing is wrong, but Nimona, there's no progress in this job. Like, I'm doing the same thing every day. There's no challenge. There's nothing. The 2 years you've been doing the same exact thing with no difference for 2 years. So I felt like it's about time that I quit. And yeah, I know that not everyone has the luxury of making such decisions, because people have bills to pay. People have like mortgages, rent, people have loans. And so, like, you need to maintain your lifestyle, and, you know, like, quitting is a very big decision, especially if you don't have another job. I mean, it's like, in our world right now, everyone tells you, like, you're stupid for quitting without having another job ready, ama having something in plan. But yeah, you're not stupid, of course, but it's necessary and it's essential to have a plan. I had a plan, and I knew what was coming next. So my plan was, that was 6th November of 2022. So I felt like I knew, I told myself at that particular point, I wasn't like, I was torn on whether, like, I want to pursue something of my own. I'm looking so much into I'm looking so much into the direction of self-employment and things like that. Like, I want to get into the corporate world. So I hadn't ever, I graduated last year as well, so I haven't worked in my area of specialty. Like, I haven't worked, I did environmental science, and I haven't done any job in relation to that. So I'm still torn on whether I want to go back into the corporate world or I want to do my own things. So it's good to know where you are headed next. It's good to know what's your next plan, because basically, Mimi, I'm trying to figure out everything. I'm trying to figure out what's the next step from here. So that being said, I told myself, I want to try everything that I've always thought of, I felt like I would be good at, I want to do, and I've never really gotten the chance. I've been procrastinating for one reason or another. So I told myself, now that I have the time, I want to try everything that I've always wanted to do, and that includes YouTube. I've always said from campus that I want to try YouTube, but I never really got the courage to try. So here I am trying. And fashion is something that I've been with ever since I was a child. I've always I feel like it's something that I've always had. So I am trying that as well. So know where you want to go next. Personally, I'm still not 100% sure on whether I want to go into the corporate world. It is something that I really want to pursue. I really want to try it, so that I feel like it's not mine. Because personally, the job I had, I don't feel like it was a corporate world as per se. It was like a retail, working as a cashier in a retail store can't be compared to doing something you've specialized on, something that has new challenges. You show people the best part, the best versions of you, the best things you, because that job had nothing to offer. Okay. I know I have friends who've been there for a while, and they really want to leave, but they can't because of circumstances. And just like I said, those other the bills you need to pay and things like that, so you can't leave without having something else. So for me, it's actually a luxury for me to because I had a supportive family. They supported me even though they felt like I needed to leave when I had work, but they supported me 100% more than I ever expected. And not everyone has the luxury of having that. So you should know the position you're in and like plan yourself well in case you're planning on quitting, ama in case your job has taken a toll on you, because you should know where you draw the line. And I always say that you should always have an option. And whenever you feel like you don't, like you absolutely need the job and you can't leave the job completely, then that makes you a slave to someone. Because if you feel like your life is nothing without this thing and you're so much more than just this job, then it means you're a slave to this. Like, is it worth it? Because me, I weigh there, like what you're giving and what you're receiving, like, are they at par? Because me, I feel like I was giving all my time and all my life to this job, and whatever I was getting back from it was close to nothing in regard, like it wasn't as much basically. So everyone always feels like the angel you know is like the devil you know, like it, how does it go? The angel you know is better than the devil you don't. How does that thing go? Like, I think it always goes like the devil you know is better than the angel you don't. Anyway, you know what I mean. But what makes you feel like that's the case? Me, I like personally, I don't feel like, you never know. I feel like people suffer more often on their imagination than reality, because you feel like that feeling of the devil you know is better than the angel you don't, because like you're living in the fear of your imagination, because you don't know what is out there basically. And I get it completely. I personally, I was so afraid of that. Like, there's fear of uncertainty, like there's uncertainty because you don't know what will happen next. Like, where will I be getting money from? How will I sustain my life? And things like that. So there's obviously fear and uncertainty, but it all boils down to how much of a risk taker you want to be. Because if you want a life that's like a good life basically, it all trickles down to how much of a risk taker you are. I know most people aren't. We always want to like be there in a comfort zone, you know. Like, please remember that comfort zone is it's a very nice place to be at, but nothing ever grows there. Because you, like, ask yourself, if you're in this position, if you're in a position where you feel like you don't really love the job that you do, you're not really like, you feel like you'd be better off doing something else, but there's that fear of leaving. Ask yourself whether if living now will be much better than you being there for the next maybe 5 to 3 years and being in the same exact position with nothing having changed. And the only thing that would have changed is now you're older. You're older than you are 2 years ago when you thought of leaving this job that is maybe toxic and it's not giving any value to your life. And you're there, you've decided to stay there because you have a lot of fear. So I feel like fear will always be there. Like, no, I was so afraid of leaving, very, very afraid of leaving, because if I was courageous enough, like, I wouldn't have taken 6 months in that job, because I saw, once you're somewhere, you just see the landscape, the behavior of how, like, the situation, and you just see, like, this is a place where I can grow, and this is a place where growth is very minimal. So I was in an environment where growth was very minimal, and I knew for a fact that this is not something that I want to do long term. So, like, evaluate and know whether whatever you have right now is something you'd want to do in the long run. It's something that is within your goals, within your, just look at things from every angle basically. And if you're in a job that you love, if you love your job and the time is great and everything is excellent, please always also, so I was saying, if you're in a job where like everything is good and you love the job and the job is actually great, because not all employments are as awful. Some jobs are really, really great, like they give you everything you want. and they're sustainable and you still have a life. Because okay, so if you're in such a job, please always remember to also have an escape route, because human beings are evil. Not everyone is good out here, and not everyone has it like good for you. There are some people who just find a way. Like if you're doing so well, you always find that there are nice people out there, and people always like, their aim is to destroy them. So make sure you also have a plan for that, because I saw in my previous job people getting fired like from nowhere. And I just told myself that anytime I'm working for someone, I know that this is not my job. I haven't employed myself. I am employed with someone. It's always good to have an escape route, just in case anything happens. You're good. You're good for at least like half a year as you like look for something else. You're good. So I think that's it. So my conclusion to all this is, if you decide to quit, just know that like that decision, like coming to that decision is not easy. Like it is a very hard decision to make. And so if you have like, I just wish you the best in your next step. And just know that, like, I want to leave you with this saying that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So always be prepared for anything that's like, Mimi, I'm a control freak. I like being in, like, I like having control. I like knowing what will come. Like I do like a lot of analysis of the future, like the possibilities of things when they go right and things if they go wrong. So I like having plans. So always be prepared for anything. And so with that being said, if you've watched up until this end, I really hope this video has helped you with something. Has helped shed a light in case you're maybe thinking of quitting your job, you don't like your job as much. It's not an easy decision, but I hope you make the right one. Yeah, if you enjoy my content and if you enjoy engaging with me, please consider subscribing. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. Catch you on the next one. Act like you know that. Hey!